Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about client intake. What information do you need to gather or collect from your customer at the very first phone call? Guys, there is a certain set of questions you need to ask. There are some answers that we need to obtain, and we're going to break it all down today. Not only this, guys, if you don't ask some questions and you just start that job, I'm telling you, you could be making a huge mistake. It might not be the right person. You might have the customer wrong. The wrong person signed your contracts. A lot of things can go wrong. Guys, in this video, I'm going to show you what we used to do wrong, show you what we did right. At the end of the video, we'll even go through and start a job in our system so you can see our actual customer intake form in action. Basically, if you own a restoration company, you do not want to miss this video. Let's go. Here's one of the things that I want to be able to communicate to you. This is one of the things that we didn't do in the early days. It cost us a lot of money. So we always had this thing in my company where I would say, how'd you hear about us? Before we actually had a form, maybe it would occur, maybe it wouldn't. But when I was on the phones, I always documented it. But then once I got off the phones, or once the owner gets off the phones, you've got to rely on somebody else to answer that information. Just because you have a form doesn't mean your company, doesn't mean your team is going to execute that form, baby. Just because you got a form and you have a process doesn't mean they're going to execute it. I'm about to tell you a story. Even at my company, we had a lot of conversations about this. Even though we had those conversations, it didn't get executed, and this is what happened. Our protocol was this. When someone would call our business, I would say, thank you for calling At Me Restoration. This is Shane. How can I help you? Okay, and they would be like, blah, 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 blah. And here was always my answer after that. We do a lot of things for a lot of people. If you don't mind, let me get your name, your number. How'd you hear about us? Like, those are the very first things we always ask. We always ask that because here's what's going to happen if you don't gather that information. This was an example call. This really happened in our business. Phone call came in. Thank you for calling At Me Restoration. You know, how can I help you? And then I was in the other room in my office. What I did not hear was, how did you hear about us?
Oh, yeah. No, we don't do that. I'm sorry. Click.
And they hung up. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, I didn't hear, how did you hear about us? And this one question, guys, can cost you over 50 grand a year, 100 grand. All right, so here's what happened in this situation. We didn't ask, how did you hear about us? So I asked, I was like, hey, so how'd they hear about us? And they were like,
I don't know. I forgot to ask.
Well, what'd they want?
They wanted to know if we could, do a popcorn ceiling.
And so here's the deal. We don't do popcorn ceilings, okay? We don't necessarily remove popcorn. We don't blow it back. We maybe did at one point, but just imagine this. Somebody calls your business to ask for a service that you don't do or an area that you don't service. Like, that's why you need to say, we do a lot of things for a lot of people. What's your name? Phone number? How'd you hear about us? And so here's what happened. So I just heard that conversation. I was like, okay. So I just picked up the phone, went back to caller ID. I called him back. I was like, hey, ma'am, this is Shane. I forgot to ask you, how'd you hear about us? And then that's when it happened, baby. You want to know how they hear about us? They're like,
oh, well, my plumber told me to call you.
Okay. Who's your plumber?
Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
Huh. Okay. Well, what's a plumber doing referring you?
Well, he said that you guys can help me on my popcorn ceiling.
Okay. Is your plumber there?
Yes.
What's your plumber there doing?
He's working on a faucet.
Okay. Did something happen to the faucet?
Oh, yeah, no, it went bad, and we had a big leak, and so we're going to fix it.
And so that is why they needed us to take care of the popcorn, because nobody mentioned the leak. You understand? You don't know who these people are going to ask for when they call. You don't know what they're going to say. So this is a situation where somebody called our company. It was a referral from one of our plumbers, but the person just happened to ask the wrong thing. They said, do you do popcorn ceilings? And the plumber probably said, just call Shane. These guys, they'll take good care of you. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just tell you no and hang up in your face, because that's what we did. So here's what I'm telling you guys. You got to dig deep. You do not know what that person's going to say. But I can tell you this. If you ask, how did you hear about us? And they said, my plumber, bam, it's right there. Do you understand? It is right there. Okay. So we wound up salvaging that job, $15,000. Are y'all following me here? Like, this is a true story. This is a true story. We do a lot of things for a lot of people. If you don't mind, let me ask, what is your name? What's your phone number? How'd you hear about us? There's multiple reasons why you need to ask, how did you hear about us? Number one, if they ask for the wrong service, you need to know that they hear about you. If they say, hey, do you service North Egypt? We do a lot of things, work in a lot of places for a lot of people. How'd you hear about us? My agent told me. Like, because if that agent referred that, you might do special things for this referral partner, this referral source that you won't do for anybody else. Do you understand? That's why they're special. That's why you must ask, how did you hear about us? I don't care if you turn it into a job or not. You need to ask, how did you hear about us? Y'all follow me. Is this resonating? I hope it is, because this right here cost us a lot of money. Guys, it was years before we started doing this. I don't even want to know how much money we lost. But I can tell you this, we already had How Did You Hear About Us in a form, and it was already on a system. I'm letting you know, even though we had that, our team still dropped the ball. You understand? And your team will too. Just to let you know. All right. So that's one reason why, and we'll get into it in a minute, we actually started tracking our phone calls into the business. The phone calls, and we start reconciling the phone calls against the jobs that come in, and we can start measuring stuff, right? You have to reconcile things each and every day. If you just leave it to your team to do it, it ain't gonna get done. It ain't gonna get done. It ain't gonna get done. What is your name? What's your phone number? How'd you hear about us? Hopefully this has been helpful. Just that right there alone. Now, one of the next questions that we always ask, what's the property address? Make sure you get the property address. Just document it. We're not asking about notes or what's going on. I haven't asked any details yet. And I'll walk you through our form. I put the form in logical order as well. But the next thing we want to know, is this for a home or is this for a business? Now, this is really important, guys, because the next question that we would ask really depends upon how they answer this question. If it's for a home, it's a residential job. That's one thing we know. But if they say it's for a business, we want to know, are you the property owner? That's our real question. And if they say, yes, it's for a home, not a business, this is for a home, and I say, okay, great. What is your relationship to the property? Are you the owner? Are you a renter or what? Because we want to know, what is their relationship? If it's a home and they're the owner, I'm in good shape. If it's a home and they're a renter, do not go out there. You need to talk to the property owner, guys. The property owner. What would I do? I would get the property owner's name and I would call them directly. If I'm talking to a renter, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work unless it's a cash pay. They ain't gonna be cash pays because we're expensive, okay? You want to be talking to the property owner. So if they say it's a home, not a business, and I'm the owner, I'm good to go. I feel pretty good. Now, here's why this is an issue, why you say home or business. If you say it's a business, owner doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Owner of what? Are they the owner of the business or the owner of the building? Guys, it's more common that business owners still rent the building. Well, guess what? That business owner, they may own the business, but bro, they ain't got mitigation coverage because they have a rental policy. Do you understand? Unless they own that building, they're more than likely not going to have coverage for mitigation. Ask me how I know. I have gone out and thought I've landed some $50,000, $70,000 jobs, only to find out that I've been doing some charity work. I mean, I'm out spending that money thinking I'm good, and I was so dumb. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. If it's a business and they're the owner, you got to find out, what are they the owner of, the business or the building? And if they don't own the building, guess what you got to do? You got to get a hold of that building owner, okay? And if a property manager calls you, that's not the building owner. Property manager ain't going to pay your contract. They're not going to pay your bill. They will not. They might sign it, but they ain't paying it, all right? So just want you to hear, you want to know, is it a home or business? Now, another reason why that matters, if it's a water job and it's a business, how did we sign it? But if it's a business and it's a water job, it might be much larger. This could be like a 10-story flood. You need to know. Most residential jobs look the same, okay? Between, whatever, 5 and 10 grand for a nice, small, clean water loss. But what does a nice, small, clean water loss on a commercial property look like? I mean, it really kind of depends, right? It could be a 50,000 square foot building, or it could be a 5-story flood. And so none of those look alike. That's the reason why you just need to be notified. If it's a business instead of a home, you better put up your antennas. The owner needs to be involved. The owner needs to be involved, okay? So is this a home or is this a business, all right? And what is your relationship with the property? You're the owner, you're the property manager, and I always ask it, and I'll go through the form in a minute, okay? But these are the questions that I would always ask, all right? One of the other questions I forgot to ask, I would say, is this for a home or a business? Then the next question is, what is the structure type? So if it's a business, I might say it's just like a commercial building, medical facility, a hotel, just so I'll know. But if it's a home, I might ask, okay, so you really want to know this. You don't want to dry trailers, baby. Trailer trash is tough. Look, I grew up in a trailer. Don't judge me, dog. I lived in a trailer, all right? My family still lives in trailers, but I ain't drying no trailers. You hear me? You don't need to either. Multiple reasons why. And the biggest reason I'm going to say this is the components. The components inside the trailers are not like single family residences. The policies on trailers suck, and there's a lot of trailer trash in them trailers too, all right? Pun intended. Do not dry trailers. But you want to know, is it an apartment? Is it a townhome? Is it a single family residence? And you want to know that every single time. Because if you ever dried a townhome or a condominium, you'll start to see that those policies get really squirrely. I'm telling you, I've done a condominium, a townhome that had only $3,000 cap. Policy limit was $3,000. Swear to God, it was Allstate. That's not going to happen on a single family residence. They're not going to have a $3,000 cap on the policy limit. A condo might, okay? And trailers are weird. You want single family residence. You want single family residence. So that's the reason why you want to always make sure you gather the structure type, okay? Notice I haven't asked them what's going on yet. I have not even asked them what's going on. I'm trying to figure out who you are, what type of structure is this, right? Now, if it's an emergency water job, that's a little different story, but you still got to gather this information. You can't let them scream in your ear and say, I need to know when you're on your way. I'm like, I would love to be on the way. I need to know where the hell you are. What is your address? Even 911's got to know where you're at and know what's going on, all right? So you got to calm that customer down, and you will eventually field an emergency call. You will know what it sounds like too. They're screaming in your ear. How soon can you get here? Those are good jobs, by the way. And basically what that means, first one there wins. So you just got to calm them down, let them know, I'm on my way. I am on my way, and you're in good hands. Then we get down to the job types towards the end of the form, and you'll just fill that out internally. If they report mold, but they've had a leak recently, I'm going to treat that as a water job on my intake. If it's wet, I'm going to call that a water job. And then if it is mold and there's coverage, then I'll start a second job for the mold. Water job always comes first. Hopefully this is helpful. So let's dive into the form. How about that? So now it's time for the magic. Now let's take a look at the customer intake form. So this is what it looks like on the mobile. Let's just fill this out right now. Why don't we do that? Let's just say we'll do Abe Lincoln. How about that? All honest Abe. Customer phone number, I'll just make something up here. Customer email, abe@usa.com. I don't think Abe Lincoln had an email address. How did he hear about us? What do y'all want? So let's just say that this came from Acme Plumbing. Customer type. So this is where you can toggle back and forth, home or business. We're going to make this one a home. Structure type. Now here's the way I would ask them. This is for home. All right, and what is this? Is it an apartment, a townhome, condominium, mobile home, single family residence? And I'll usually say single family last. They may not know what a single family is, but they know it's not an apartment, it's not a townhome. Guys, if it's an apartment, they may not be the owner. So notice I didn't ask, are you the owner yet? I want to know what structure type is, okay? All right, and what is your relationship to the property? You a tenant, renter, property manager, owner? If you notice, one of the other options that I've got there is family member or friend. That is not the owner. Do you understand? Because now you got to go back. I'd have to go back up here and change this Abe Lincoln to whoever the owner is, because I'm going to have automation built in the background that's going to trigger my contracts based on this. You follow me? So make sure you ask that last, okay? Let's just call this one 124 Smoky Way. And then the job type. I mean, I want a water job. What do y'all want? And let's just say huge water loss on second floor. Hardwoods are soaked. Submit. Okay? So really that simple, right? Like notice I always put the notes and everything down at the very bottom. Okay? Put the notes down at the very bottom. Now you can also see that over here on our side, we had this job just popped up right here. And this is old Honest Abe. How about that, right? So you can sit here and click on this guy here. And now you can see that we've got that same information. There's Honest Abe as the contact. And we have customer intake. They heard about us through Acme Plumbing. It's a home, not a business, single family residence, etc. All of that good jazz there, right? And now we also have something over in the notes where you can see like just some notes information that comes over as a result there. The next thing we set up was text message notifications, right? And these are important, or at least we like them anyway, because once you're not on the phones anymore and someone else at your company is entering in these jobs, it's really nice to get some type of notification that the job came in, right? So what we wound up doing, and what you could do as well, is just have like a text message. Look at that beautiful girl. Look at my daughter. Isn't she pretty? Pretty girl. Anyway, y'all getting me sidetracked here. So let's go to my text messages. Date entered, so that we get a text message that comes over and it brings over this information here. Job info, it's water job. You can send these to anybody that you want. Does that make sense? This is what you want in your business. This is what you need in your business, where you're asking the right information, you're documenting it, okay? And you've got the notes. Because here's the deal, guys. As you grow, you won't be on the phones, but you still want to be in the loop. Does that make sense? These are the questions that you need to ask. Then you need to have a form. I would cut these little things up into like a little spreadsheet and then like literally put them right by the phone, and then put a phone script. Thank you for calling Acme Restoration. This is Shane. How can I help you? We do a lot of things for a lot of people. If you don't mind, let me get your information. And then boom, that customer intake form is right by the phone. Why do you put it by the phone? Because that's where they're going to be answering it, okay? And so these are the things you want to make sure that you've got. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. If you guys want more, you need more of this information, or you need help growing your company, any of this stuff, go to workwithshane.com, guys. We've got special programs we can help you if you're a startup, if you haven't started your company and you're pre-launch, or you don't even know if you want to do this. We've got free restoration courses. We've got pre-launch programs where you can come in, and we've got a launch program that'll help you get started in your first 30 days. Guys, I can tell you this, I've made a lot of mistakes in restoration. I've learned a lot. I would certainly love to help you out in any way that I can. We'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, I've got 3 things for you. Number 1, if you haven't yet, click on my face below and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, we put out new content each and every week. Also, if you want me to help you grow your company, go to workwithshane.com. Workwithshane.com, put in your information, we get on a call and see how we can help you grow your company. Lastly, there'll be some other videos right here. If you want to watch more content about growing your restoration company, check out one of these videos. We'll see you guys on the next one.